given that this week is such a big week for fashion, and I can assume for your career right now, can you tell us a little bit about Fashion Week and the process, and specifically the inspiration for this collection?
Well, Fashion Week is really where designers like myself would come and it's a bit of a reunion. Some would say that it's a celebration, but it's 2 times in the year, every February and September, when we get an opportunity to basically tell the world and tell the market what's going to be hot, for the next season, for the next year to come. So for me, I'm currently prepping for the 2020 collection, fall 2020. And behind me is just a mood board of, just attitudes and moods and feelings and vibrations and just all these different kind of concepts that I was sort of inspired by. Right now, the process is extensive. The creative, it's never an ending date. It's never like, okay, well, on January 30th, right? We're going to be done with this. No, for me, the creative process is always continues. We're constantly coming up with like grand ideas. We'll finish one garment and then that provokes us to do something else. And, it's just, then when we have fittings and models coming in, that sort of conjures up new ideas and alterations and things like that. So it's always a heavy, ongoing process for me specifically because I am just an overachiever by nature, and I always want to make sure that I'm putting my best foot forward. And when it comes to, putting together a collection, I always want the collection that I'm about to present to be better than the last one that I've presented. So that is sort of like where I'm at with my head.
And would you say it's an ongoing, ever-changing process up until the runway? Do you change things around a little bit?
For the most part, I think, even like day of the runway show, like morning of, where it's heavy preparation. We're just doing last minute, hook and eyes and labels and hems and, pin this a ½ inch or tuck this in. But other than that, I try to be as organized as possible so that the last day is just really, really, we're not doing so much crazy things,
Right.
For
So
me, like
peace of mind, a little bit.
Sense of peace of mind, yeah. Like I get really anxious and nervous anyway, so to know that the collection is like not going to be together would never be a good thing for me. So I always try to make sure we're at least in a good place for the last 2 days of the show.
That makes sense. Completely. When you're looking at a piece of fabric or clothing, what stands out to you the most?
For me, it really does start with fabrics. Like I can sketch all day long, but the finalization of how that illustration is going to come to life is through fabrication. When I look at fabrics, I'm really looking at, the way that it sort of molds on the body. I'm looking at the way that it could potentially drape on the body. The sheen, sort of how it's iridescent, how it hits the light, versus how it's, how it's flowy and movable. So for me, it's all these things that I am always taking into consideration with fabrics. I really, really love and appreciate, the manipulation of fabrics, doing sort of like non-conventional things that you wouldn't expect to happen. And a lot of times I'm, sourcing materials and I'm bringing it back to the team and they're like, what is that? And it's like, no, guys, I feel it. Like I really do. But that's what fashion is about. That's what designing is about for me. It's really about taking risks and telling stories and bringing people on a journey that is sort of a bit of a fantasy, and yeah, basically.
And I know this is going to be a hard one. So given that you're in New York City and it's considered to be one of the most fashion-centric cities in the world, if you had to design only one piece of clothing article for the rest of your life, what would that be?
If I had to design one piece of clothing for the rest of my life, it would it's dresses all day long, like all day, every day, minis, middies, long maxis. Like I'm all about dresses, like what's so cool about, I guess, sort of the understanding of who my woman is or my client is that she can always rely on getting a sexy dress from LaQuan, and that to me is like, I just feel it's a level of reassurance and a place of comfortability because at least there's that level of communication for me and the woman that I'm designing for is that, when she wants to get her sexy back, she goes to LaQuan Smith. So dresses all day.
Your empowerment will empower them. That's
there
amazing.
You go.
I love that. And given that you are a true artist, how do you balance, or what is the balance between the artist in you and the businessman in you?
That's a really, really good question to ask. I think that It fluctuates, you know. It's never just all design, and it should never just be all business either. I think that it has to be, you know, an equal balance. However, you know, it's the juxtaposition of the two, and I think that, you know, as I'm growing up and the more that my business expands, I'm becoming a little bit more business savvy. You know, I'm thinking about a lot of different things, and these are just natural conversations that I have to have with my team when it comes down to budgeting and finance and how things are basically going to get paid for.
Of course, the longevity of it all.
The longevity, you know, the infrastructure. But then on the flip side, you know, like, it's nice to like take a trip and go to Mexico and just sketch on the beach, you know what I mean? Or, you know, go to Paris and just sit and just, you know, absorb the atmosphere. For me, like, I want to keep that dream alive. I want to keep that youth alive. So it's very important for me to be able to sort of have a balance of both creativity and being able to be a businessman so that the business can, like you said, have longevity and sustainability.
100%. And I was told something very interesting once, was that we each wear different hats in our lives, right?
Right.
We have our creative hat, we have our business hat, we have our emotional hat. And when something happens, we have to, like a portfolio, we have to be able to balance it accordingly and not let one part affect the other negatively, because it's just different parts of our lives, and we have to be able to balance it all if we want to really, really have the longevity and be able to push forward.
Absolutely. And, you know, I think that takes time, you know, and that to me, that's not something that just like, that's not that person does. Yeah, it's a work in progress, you know.
It's a learning process.
There you go. You know,
else.
I think it comes with, you know, it comes with failures and it comes with success, and I think it comes with just, like I said, a balance of and the nuances of it all. It's like you're sort of just on this interesting journey, and you're developing into the person that you're supposed to become. So
very, very interesting, and I agree on that one. Now, all fashion aside for a minute, let's get to the nitty-gritty of
the nitty-gritty.
Who LaQuan is, the man behind the fashion designer. So what would you say is a non-conventional skill set that you've acquired outside of the fashion world that have helped you tremendously in your career?
A non-conventional skill set outside of fashion.
Anything
I
you've,
mean,
like, experienced or learned that...
I just feel like, to be honest with you, I feel like, you know, and this is just organic, like, I just feel like I'm a really good listener. I feel like I've absorbed a lot of information from a lot of, you know, industry, you know, elite insiders and mentors and so many different journeys and experiences that I couldn't help but to just be a sponge and, you know, observe and to listen to, you know, whatever feedback was given. I think my level of, you know, humility and charm has definitely brought me a long way. I feel no need to be nasty to anyone, you know what I mean? And I think that, like I said, this is the fashion industry, so what are we all upset about? Why are we all so shady? We should be doing things and celebrating things that we love and helping one another. So I definitely feel like that has pushed me further along than some, you know, just because the nature and the ground roots of where I am. But it's interesting because it's like my name, LaQuan, is of African origin, and it means the quiet one. So it just sort of, no, I'm not making this shit up. It's like real. So it's sort of interesting how, like, I'm not really quiet. I'm a better listener than I am a speaker. Like, to me, I listen to a lot of what people are saying because I love to learn from people, and I love to be able to absorb from people, and it's a takeaway factor. So I think all of those factors have sort of helped me and shaped me into being, you know, who I am today.
And people nowadays don't really listen. I feel they hear things and then they're already on what they're gonna say instead of really listening to what the person is telling them or really hearing them out. They already have a response and they're just thinking how they're going to respond versus just listening. Let that sink in.
Let it absorb it. Yeah, absorb the information.
And get to know the other person or the situation fully, and then, you know, have a response. So I completely agree with that one. I think that's a very, very key thing to really highlight. So when you identify a challenge versus an opportunity, I know people mix this up all the time. What are some of the steps that you take to move forward once you realize that it's like it might be a challenge but a hidden opportunity? So it could be an opportunity but it looks like a challenge right now. What would you say are your first three steps that you would take?
I think the first three steps I would take is to assess the situation, you know, figure out what my options are to be able to, you know, solve the problem or, you know, get over the challenge. and just put my best foot forward. I mean, it sounds simple, but
simplicity helps. To keep it simple and make sure it works.
yeah.
Being where you are right now and experiencing everything you have, going into Fashion Week, what would you say to your mentor, Andre Leon?
Andre. I love Andre. I love Andre so much. What would I say? I mean, I would just say thank you. Just two simple words. Thank you. Thank you for believing in me, and thank you for taking me under your wing, and exposing my talent to the world. At least co-signing my talent to the world. And I think more importantly is to thank him for allowing me to stand in my truth, as a designer. And really the truth of the matter is that, I'm a black man designing unapologetic, beautiful, sexy, clothing, that I feel sometimes that the world is not really ready to see just yet, specifically coming from me. And so, with that, that's my truth. I stand behind it unapologetically. I love what I'm doing, and I feel really passionate about it. And, I've hit a lot of hurdles because of, the world has, been through so many things because of the color of our skin, and it's like nothing that I can do to change that. And so, in return, I'm just sort of celebrating the fact that, I am who I am, designing all the incredible things that I'm doing. And it's a great journey to be on.
And I completely honor someone who, takes everything and makes it a strength instead of seeing it as a weakness.
Absolutely.
They identify what it is, but then they make it as their strength and their point that they push forward.
Absolutely.
And mentorship for me is so important. Just the fact of giving anything, whether I'm the one receiving it or giving it, I feel somebody giving you their time is the most important thing they can ever give you.
Absolutely.
Believing
I agree,
in you
100%.
can take you to another level. Just somebody
100%.
believing you, it doesn't mean that they add more artists in you. It just lets you feel comfortable to really, truly, unapologetically, like you said, just express yourself in a safe environment.
Yes.
And I'm all about that, so I love that. With personal rituals. So is there anything that you as a designer, as a businessman must do before any big show, any big event, anything important in your career?
For me, rituals, before every show, I gotta just take, 5-10 minutes to myself and just say a little prayer. Just thanking God for the moment, that I'm currently in, the journey, because what I do and the way that my team sort of comes together and puts on these grand shows, and just even processing, everything throughout the year, it's so much work. And sometimes I'm always amazed at how we've gotten this far, and I don't believe in luck. But I can only just be thankful. So for me, before every show, I say a prayer, and I feel like I'm prayed up and I'm ready to just conquer and put on with just a level of confidence, because I do feel secure in that way from a spiritual perspective.
And what would be one of the biggest compliments you as an artist could receive?
One of the biggest compliments is probably Tom Ford telling you that you're one of the most talented designers on the horizon. That's it. I could die. My work is done. Literally.
Retired?
No, that's a huge
Inspired,
compliment.
yeah.
That's a huge compliment coming from someone like Tom. I have always admired him, and just even so many other greats like Azzedine Alaya and Gianni Versace. Those were the times where fashion was just incredible, and iconic. And so to sort of, follow in the footsteps of some of the greats, to be able to have a great tell you you're on your way, that's to me, it's a big deal.
And being in Fashion Week, when you get to see these same people, it's an amazing atmosphere of knowing that it's the same process that you all are taking, even though you all are coming from a different background, different part of your career, but you guys are going through the same process. It must feel so empowering and amazing process.
It does feel like a form of unification. Fashion Week and times when designers have to come together and models come together, it does sort of feel sometimes like a reunion, because we are on this journey together. And though people may come and go, and everyone has a different lane of how they're getting there. It's still a journey that I think we're all taking, and we're all crossing paths in very significant ways. And so I wouldn't really choose any other place to be than what I'm doing.
Life you guys share forever.
Absolutely.
If you could tomorrow change your path as far as career, what else would you be doing?
Well, I would still be in the creative space if I wasn't a fashion designer.
A true artist.
If I wasn't a fashion designer, like I said, I love visuals, so I would probably be in some sort of like music video, film director of some sort. I'd probably be a songwriter of some sort. I would do something in that space, whether if it's music or film. It would definitely
creative.
be still creative.
Still creative.
Yeah.
And what would you say are some 3 hidden talents that nobody knows except your inner circle?
3 hidden. Oh, I have a really nice voice. I can sing.
Okay.
I'm a shower singer. But I think I can. At least that's what I think. What else? Another talent of mine. What's another one?
LaQuan can impersonate anyone.
Okay.
Impersonator.
I'm a good impersonator.
Got it.
So they say.
Who's your favorite to impersonate?
Everyone, my whole staff, my team, my mom, my grandmother, like just anyone who I have like these encounters with. I'm just, because for me I'm sort of dramatic, and when I'm telling the story, like I have to impersonate so that
it comes
they
across
can understand,
clear.
what kind of
give the visual
perspective I'm coming from, But it's all from love. It all stems from love, yeah.
What question? Is there a question that you've never been asked but you are dying to answer?
No.
No?
No.
You've always been asked every question? There's no question?
I mean, I'm really private, so outside of like what I do for my career, like I just feel like everything else is just irrelevant.
Fair. Coming from fashion and where you can appreciate aesthetics, what would you say would be your skincare regimen, and at what age did you think that was important, or did you truly understand the value of taking care of your skin?
When I was younger, I really didn't understand the value of taking care of my skin. I was eating Sour Powers and Doritos and, Snickers. Like I was just milkshakes from McDonald's, and I was dipping the French fries in.
Milkshake.
Yeah,
You went.
My diet was like.
I mean, amazing that you.
Well, thank you. Now that I'm older, I do understand the level of importance now.
Just hearing that, I feel like I gained weight.
I'm a junk food eater, and I think also too because I'm a night owl for me. So it's like I would stay up late at night working on garments and draping, and I'd have my junk food to kind of like keep that sugar rush going. But it wasn't until I sort of hit my like late 20s that I feel like I started to really educate myself on not just skin care but also just physical health.
Self-care.
Wanting to feel energized and feel good and just be full on healthy. So I'm really into taking my vitamins. I'm really into moisturizing every morning, every night, and just a lot of water, making sure that I'm eating fruits and vegetables. And I love to eat. I'm an eater, but I definitely think that working out and as I've gotten older, it's just sort of trained me and helped me to be able to just live a better life.
Yeah,
so
keep a balance. Like
keep a really good balance
and be. Have your guilt-free moments, but then work hard to be able to do that.
Yeah, and my schedule too. It's never like 9 to 5. It's like it fluctuates. Sometimes I work super early. Sometimes I work like super late. Sometimes it comes down to working in a different time zone. For me, it's just important to just carry the essentials, vitamin C, B12, just to keep my energy up and consistent, and and continue doing what I do.
So what would you say would be your top skincare product? Like, is it serum? Is it moisturizer? You mentioned moisturizer. So
yes.
What's your go-to moisturizer?
It's a bit of a 3-step process for me. It's definitely a daily moisturizer that I can use every day, every night. I love toner just because it just feels like it just kind of wakes my skin up a little bit. And then every now and then again, if I go out, I'll put a little drizzle of serum and just kind of spread it out just so I have a nice sheen to my skin. But other than that, it's just really a day and night moisturizer. Oh, and I'm all about the eyes, keeping the eyes like laid tight. I don't like a puffy eye. So for me, because of my crazy schedules, I'm constantly doing eye creams at night and in the morning just so I can look young and snatched.
The FOREO iris is going to help you with that one. So
amazing.
Love the way it's going to feel.
Can't wait
right?
to use it.
Especially when you travel. What would you say are 3 surprising characteristical traits that other people describe you that you found surprising?
Goofy. Freaky.
Freaky.
I mean, look at the clothes. Look at the clothes. And a bit of a crybaby.
Okay.
But you said surprising.
Surprising.
I didn't say those were my
I
characteristic
agree.
traits, but you said surprising. So when people say, "Look, why you whine too much, you cry too much," that's a bit of a surprise, but fine. I'll accept it.
And 3 lifetime goals that you have yet to accomplish.
3 lifetime goals. Definitely, building a American luxury brand, LaQuan Smith, all over the world. New York, Paris, Milan, Australia, Asia, all over. I want to do, menswear. I want to get into shoes and fragrances. So there's so many things that I want to do that I haven't even done yet. And I'm just really excited for the future. I'm just really excited for the future.
And I'm sure everyone who sees your collection is excited to see you expand into all those different areas
Yes.
as well. So especially I'm excited to see the men's line because I'm ready.
Oh, it's about to be real hot.
I'm ready for that one.
It's about to be really, really hot. February.
February?
Yeah,
Okay.
8th.
I'm ready.
9 p.m.
What triggers the most emotion out of you as an artist?
What triggers the most emotion out of me? I mean, it's a few things. I think when people take my kindness for weakness, that definitely triggers something out of me because I'm emotionally invested into everything. And that could involve money, that could involve, creativity. I think that's the most thing, is when people take my kindness for weakness. I'm a very, very nice guy. I think I play very fair, and when it comes down to the people that I love and my business, I'm very overprotective of that. So
I agree with that one too. I'm very overprotective, and I think when people mistake your kindness or your giving aspect for something of less, then it's just, especially when it comes from somebody that you care about or somebody that you value.
it makes my blood boil.
Of
Yeah.
course. Okay, so aside from now we got to know more about you, I want to take it to a part where when you partner up with different brands. We know you've done something with ASOS, we know you've done something with FOREO now, so what's the process? I know when I look at brand partnerships, we have a lot in common. How you came up the very non-conventional way, FOREO did the same thing, and how we value design and functionality and how everything has a purpose. What would you say is the process for you when you are working in finding the right partner?
Well, it's definitely similar to what you just said. I think for me, it's really about looking at the partner and seeing what you guys do have in common. What kind of common ground you guys bring together as a team. For me, partnerships that word is just used so loosely. For me, a partnership should really be authentic between the two, and still be able to have a different aspect to be able to bring to the table, so that there's you guys are conjuring up something new. Working with ASOS was really exciting for me specifically because it felt like I was bringing a bit of a fresh new factor to the ASOS brand, and then in return, working with ASOS, I felt like ASOS was really expanding and exposing my brand to so many other people that I wouldn't have crossed. So to me, I think being able to make sure that we share the same brand values, to make sure that the partnership has a bit of longevity and a return on the investment, I think is a really important factor as well. And I think just most importantly, authenticity, making sure that it feels authentic and organic to the two parties.
100%, yes. And I see that happening less and less. So for me, I feel from our side, from FOREO's side, we are the same way in our selection process, is that we really want to check off all the boxes of making sure we know who the partner that we're looking for, why we're looking for them, how are we helping you and you helping us. It can't just be one-sided. And together, what are we doing to help a bigger picture?
Exactly. And I feel like the reason why I was saying partnerships the term is used so loosely, because I feel like a lot of people are really focusing on money.
It's very transactional.
Just green,
Yes, it's
and I
always
think
transactional.
that it shows. I think that sort of portrays itself. But I think that when you know, two parties come together and they actually build and create a trajectory and a storyline on what's the focus, how are we going to attack this, what's the proper, you know, marketing and just the overall concept. To me, you plan it, you seed it, and it's explosive and it's fresh and it's young and it's innovative and it's affecting people and people want to be a part of whatever you guys are doing. To me, that's what is a partnership. That's, to me, is the perfect combination of having a collaboration.
Couldn't agree more. And we're super excited for this collaboration, and not to mention the fact that you are hand in hand with giving back, mentoring a recipient that will be coming to the show, that is super excited to be part of this experience and seeing firsthand what it's like to do a New York Fashion Week.
Yes.
Especially someone inspiring directly in that line of business. So
yes.
I love that, and I think that that's very, very important. So when you partner up with a different brand and collaborating, how do you stay authentic to yourself and not get mixed up in the shuffle?
Well, you know, staying authentic to myself is something that happens organic for me anyway. You know, I really just have to go back to my roots and understanding, you know, why I fell in love with fashion in the first place, you know, what inspired me from the very, very beginning, understanding what it is that people fell in love with LaQuan Smith. What was that factor, you know, and sort of revisiting that over and over and over again, even if you're like, you know, 100 steps ahead, even if you're the most successful person in the world. For me, it's so important to sort of go back to the roots, because that is what keeps a level of consistency, and with consistency comes authenticity. So for me, you know, I'm always looking back at my old collections. I'm always looking back at old concepts and old sketches from like 2002. I'm like laughing at sort of the progression that I've made, but you know, it sort of stays authentic. I think, you know, even the values that I have, you know, like I've always loved creating for a woman who is obsessed with nightlife, going out, looking good, feeling sexy. That has never changed. So, you know, even understanding like those concepts and building around that element and that woman continuously, whether she's in Aspen or in Jamaica for a vacation, it's still continuing that process of, you know, who is this woman that I'm designing for? So, I mean, when it comes to authenticity, it's definitely like a great exercise for me to always just understand.
Reflect and
yeah, you just answered the question.
And no, but that's great, because that brings a lot to an element of partnership. Like, to me, when I partner up with different brands, I definitely want to get that authenticity side of you. I don't want somebody that's going to conform to my natural ask just because it's a partnership.
Right.
I want you to come in with your background, your expertise, your core values, and mesh it with that of mine.
Right.
And together we produce something that's truly magic.
Right.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule. I know this week for you is madness, and
we'll get through it.
Exactly.
We'll get through
So
it.
I'm super excited for this. I appreciate your time, your answers, your authenticity.
I'm excited. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And I look forward to next week and seeing the show.
Next Saturday. It's about to be hot.
February 8th. It's going to be amazing.